From prestigious Irish pubs serving up good food and drink alongside chilling paranormal occurrences, to historic hotels where it's said the souls of former patrons and staff still roam, are you ready for the most haunted places in Seattle? Number 5. The University Heights Center. The University Heights Center in Seattle is a former school turned nonprofit located off University Way in the University District that serves as a community center while also preserving the historic structure it's housed in. The property was first opened to the public in 1903 as University Heights Elementary School, and in 1907 a 13-room expansion was constructed, opening the following year. In 1920, enrollment peaked at just over 900 students, and in 1927 the auditorium was constructed. The same year, 7th and 8th graders were transferred to John Marshall Junior High, severely impacting enrollment. By 1939, only 400 students remained. In 1955, a program for the deaf was launched from the facility, and later in 1974, the University Heights Alternative Program, which centered around individualized learning approaches, was started. In 1989, the school was closed for a time due to low enrollment. The very next year, the University Heights Center for the Community Association was established, reopening the building as a neighborhood and community resource. Today, the University Heights Center remains open to the public, serving the community through various events and educational opportunities. The grounds are said to be haunted by the spirits of former faculty and students who loved the school and life, and many have reported a range of full-bodied apparitions clad in clothing or uniforms spanning the ages, as well as shadowy silhouettes sighted sneaking about at night. Reported all throughout the center are strange knocking sounds, the disembodied voices of children, and footsteps heard from empty rooms or areas. A handful of informal investigations have yielded extreme hot and cold spots, high EMF levels, and chilling EVPs, while several more sensitive visitors have described experiencing psychic flashes from across the property, visions often of school life from long ago. Lastly, one of the most famous legends to surround the University Heights Center tells that a cruel teacher once locked a boy named Brian in a closet for misbehaving. It's said the teacher forgot the boy over the weekend and returned to find him dead. His small apparition has been encountered into recent times and is said to look so real that living nearby are often unaware they're even in the presence of a ghost. Number 4. Hotel Sorrento. Hotel Sorrento, located off Madison Street in the First Hill neighborhood of Seattle, is a historic Italian oasis-style hotel that boasts its reputation as the oldest continuously in-use hotel in the city that's still being utilized as originally intended. The hotel initially opened its doors in 1909 under Samuel Rosenberg, just before the Alaska-Yukon Pacific Exposition was held within the city. Unfortunately, Rosenberg didn't find the success he was after and ended up trading the property for an orchard down in Oregon. During World War I, the hotel would play home to a number of military officers as well as to a Red Cross headquarters, and in 1925, operations would be taken over by Merton Marston and J.A. Audette, who promptly renovated and refurbished its interior. The Sorrento was passed through a number of owners and managers over the years, many of whom made various changes, upgrades, or additions to the building and to its appearance. In 1938, Seattle College, now Seattle University, signed a lease and began utilizing hotel space as a women's dorm. In 1980, operations were taken over by Michael Malone and Robert Berkheimer, who set to work on a series of renovations in an effort to bring the building up to code and to modern standards. It reopened its doors in 1981, featuring a courtyard that had been completely redesigned and fewer but larger and more luxurious rooms. In 2019, Michael Malone purchased the entirety of the property and building, announcing his plans to perform a total building makeover, one that would ensure the hotel remains elegant for decades, maybe even centuries to come. Hotel Sorrento's property is thought to be haunted by the spirits of those who loved it in life and who have since crossed over to the other side, and staff and guests often report lights flickering with no known cause, doors opening and slamming shut on their own, orbs caught in photography, and glasses sighted sliding or even floating near the bar. Disembodied voices, laughter, and music have been heard emanating from empty rooms, prompting hotel staff to open them up only to find them vacant and dark. And several informal investigations have yielded high EMF levels, chilling EVPs, abnormal battery death, and electronic malfunctions. One of the more prominent apparitions at the Sorrento is said to be that of a ghostly woman in Victorian-era clothing, most often encountered on the 4th floor near room 408. This is said to be the spirit of Alice B. Toklas, whose family lived near where the hotel now stands. Alice has been known to drift through the room, never talking or interacting with the living, before vanishing into nothingness. Lastly, many staying at Hotel Sorrento, especially while seemingly alone in their rooms, report the sensation of constantly being followed, of someone unseen breathing down their necks. Number 3. The Seattle Underground. The Seattle Underground is a series of below-ground passageways and basements located beneath the historic Pioneer Square district of Seattle that once fell at ground level when the city was first constructed, but that was mostly covered following the Great Seattle Fire of 1889. Before the formation of Seattle, land that now holds the city was inhabited by native peoples for at least 4,000 years prior to the first permanent European settlers. In 1851, one Arthur Denny, along with a group of travelers, would arrive by ship, establishing a camp they called New York. In 1852, they would move their camp to the east shore of Elliott Bay onto the current site that holds Pioneer Square, and would rename their community to the Village of Seattle in honor of Chief Seal of the local Duwamish and Suquamish tribes. The city grew rapidly in popularity, thrived, and was officially incorporated in 1869. Tragically, on June 6th and 7th of 1889, the Great Seattle Fire would strike, destroying the entirety of the central business district. Both fortunate and heartbreaking, there was only one reported death resulting from the blaze, being a young boy by the name of James Goyne. Strangely, more fatalities occurred, most by way of accident during the cleanup process. A silver lining to the fire was discovered when cleanup crews realized the city's rodent population had been decimated. Seattle quickly rebuilt using brick and fireproof materials a whole 20 feet above the original street level. The underground saw continued use up until 1907, when it was condemned as a bubonic plague hazard. Later, a small portion of the underground would be restored and made safe for public access. In 1965, Bill Spidell established Bill Spidell's Underground Tour, which continues to operate to this very day. Following its condemnation, rumors tell the underground played home to a different side of life, to gambling halls, criminals, speakeasies, working girls, and opium dens. All throughout its accessible portions, many report disembodied footsteps, the sounds of parties and music from long ago, and a general feeling of always being watched or followed by something unseen. A number of local legends tell the underground is haunted by the restless spirits of Seattle's earliest deaths, from murder victims to those who perished from disease, and many have reported encounters with terrifying full-bodied apparitions in clothing spanning the city's ages, some bearing grievous wounds or signs of severe ailment. Also reported throughout the tunnels are orbs visible to the naked eye, high EMF levels, and chilling EVPs. Cold spots are often felt in the heat of summer, shadowy figures sighted slinking around, and several visitors have even left with scratches. The most active area of the underground is purported to be the zone surrounding the old bank vault, which is said to have once acted as a working girl's private quarters. Number 2. Kells Irish Restaurant and Bar. Kells Irish Restaurant and Bar is a traditional Irish pub located in the historic Butterworth building overlooking Pike Place Market off Post Alley in Seattle that was initially constructed for use as, get this, a mortuary. The building was first opened in 1903 under Edgar Ray or E.R. Butterworth as the Butterworth & Sons Mortuary, and was established to combat all facets of death ranging from retrieving bodies to coffin sales, burials to cremations, and more. As a fun bit of trivia, it also boasted the first elevator on the West Coast, which was used to transfer bodies. E.R. would pass on in 1921, leaving his business to his eldest son Gilbert and his younger brothers. The brothers used their resources to construct a new mortuary building, moving their entire operation in 1923. The Butterworth building that had previously acted as their mortuary went on to serve a number of purposes and businesses at Pike Place over the following years, until in 1983 the McLeese family founded Kells Irish Pub. The pub saw such success they ended up opening multiple locations elsewhere, such as in Portland, Oregon, and in San Francisco, California. In 2005, the McLeese family purchased the Butterworth building outright. The family retains ownership and continues to operate Kells to this day, cherishing the old property while funding multiple renovations and modernizations. Quite simply, Kells is said to be haunted by the numerous souls who have passed through its doors over its many years. History tells that, in its earliest days, the death rates surpassed what local businesses could handle, and bodies would often become piled in nearby streets. Eventually, the city of Seattle actually began hiring individuals to take care of these bodies. Before long, rumors began circulating that the family was having people killed in order to keep their business afloat. Dr. Linda Hazard, also known as the Starvation Doctor, was a vicious American serial killer of the era who operated a sanitarium where she would torture and starve her patients to death. Disturbingly, most of her victims were disposed of by the Butterworth business, only adding to the long list of already dark urban legends and speculations. Many on the property have reported sighting the restless souls of said victims, malnourished, skeletal, roaming the property, some say seeking justice over their untimely fates. Reported all throughout Kells are orbs captured in pictures, strange mists that float with seeming sentience, and a host of full-bodied apparitions, many noticed later by the unsuspecting in the backgrounds of photographs. The apparition of a little girl without legs has been encountered on the stairwell, and the face of an unknown man has been known to appear in reflections, startling those he materializes behind. Also reported around Kells are windows or mirrors shattering without explanation, dirty handprints found on just cleaned surfaces when no one has touched them, and accounts of glasses being pushed or even thrown from the bar or from tables. The apparition of a tall man with thin hands has been sighted walking through the bar before disappearing into thin air. Lastly, and possibly most disturbing of all, the ghost of a man whose mouth is sewn shut and whose eyes appear as black holes has been sighted roaming about. Number 1. The Consulate of Mexico in Seattle. The Consulate of Mexico in Seattle, or officially Consulado de Mexico in Seattle, is a foreign embassy located off East Roy Street that's housed in the former Harvard Exit Theater building and that fills about 70% of its expanse, with the rest being rented by various businesses. The building was first opened in 1925 by the Women's Century Club as a meeting space for women to discuss prominent arts and culture. The space was utilized for both club and community events up until 1968, when the property was sold under the stipulation the lobby would never be altered. The building was remodeled into the Harvard Exit Theater, a 2-screen cinema with the lobby left untouched. The building would remain a theater until 2015, when it was sold to One Eagle Rock Ventures, an investment and development firm based out of Seattle. Eagle Rock would launch a 3-year renovation and modernization project and would transform the building into an adaptive, multi-use space. In 2018, the Mexican consulate was moved onto the property, occupying the basement, the full first and second floors, and portions of the third. The Woman's Century Club continues to meet in the building regularly, with namely private contractors on the 3rd floor. The lobby, as per age-old agreement, remains completely unaltered. The Consulate is said to be haunted by apparitions from the building's past, with many reporting a wide range of paranormal phenomena, including personal electronics dying randomly, objects sighted moving when no one is around them, and furniture discovered rearranged overnight. One of the most commonly cited apparitions on the property has been described as a woman in 1920s attire. Several local legends tell that she was a member of the Century Club who decided to end her own life by way of hanging. Chillingly, her half-formed silhouette has been known to appear in photographs long after they were taken. Reported throughout the consulate are disembodied footsteps from empty rooms, voices and whispers that emanate from thin air, and the unnerving sound of a woman sobbing consistently, always heard from just out of sight. One of the more commonly encountered and famous apparitions sighted across consulate grounds is the specter of a portly man who always manifests in a translucent state, clad in an old-fashioned but fancy suit. Dubbed Peter, this ghost is said to get quite social, holding full conversations with the living, or even playing small pranks when he's feeling mischievous. As the story goes, Peter is the spirit of a man who once lived on the property before the theater was constructed, and whose life ended when he was murdered in or following a brawl. The apparition of a short lady in a Victorian-era dress who's thought to have been an actress that was murdered at the theater has been sighted hurrying about, and many have encountered a severe, uneasy feeling in the lounge, a feeling so strong it causes some employees to avoid the room altogether. Lastly, the ghost of a woman in 1940s attire has been sighted throughout the consulate and has been known to wink or smile at guests, especially other women. This is believed to be the ghost of Seattle's first female mayor and leader of the Women's Century Club, Bertha K. Landis, who passed on in 1943. Taking into account its fascinating, diverse, and progressive history, and coupling that with a slew of ghost stories and urban legends a mile long, we felt there was no better choice than the Consulate of Mexico as our pick for the most haunted place in the city of Seattle. Thank you all for tuning in to our list of the most haunted places in Seattle. If you enjoyed hearing our histories and ghost stories as much as we enjoyed telling them to you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn notifications on so you know when fresh content is on the way. Throw us a like if you feel we've earned it, and most importantly, share this video and our channel with anyone you think deserves a good scare. We'll see you all next time.